we're going to tackle a difficult dilemma, and that is, what should your boundaries be when you are dealing with a loved one that has an alcohol or substance abuse problem? Proverbs 20 verse 1 says, "Wine is a mocker and beer is a brawler. Whoever is led astray by them is not wise." But you don't need a proverb to tell you that. You already know that too much alcohol, too much drugs is a problem, not only for you, but for the person who is doing that. So here are some of the principles that you'll need to learn and use. And these are things that I teach over and over and over again in my books, in my classes, in my devotionals, in my Facebook posts, and in my YouTube videos. This is how you apply those to somebody who has a substance abuse problem. First of all, you've got to face the truth. You've got to come to reality that this person has a drinking problem, has a drug problem. You can't deny it and deal with it at the same time. You can't make excuses for it and deal with it in a wise way. You've got to face the truth. This person has a problem. When you abuse alcohol and drugs, it has some negative effect on your life. When you're addicted, it has multiple negative effects in some area of your life, and you can't let go of it. You've tried, or the person's tried, or says they can try, but they're not able to stop. It's a problem. Okay, so the next thing is to detach with love. And I teach about detachment over and over and over again. It's such a powerful concept. It takes a while to get it, but when you get it, it frees you. Detaching means that you separate yourself from the other person's choices. Your loved one uses drugs, abuses alcohol. You do not. Your loved one has a problem. You care. You're worried. You're upset. You would like for it to change, but you can't force that person to make a different decision. You can't make that person agree with you. You can't make that person stop. The only thing you can do is to do what is right for you. You've got to be able to look at that, see the problem, face it, but continue to live your own life, continue to find joy, continue to do what is healthy for you, and not lose yourself in this attempt to try to fix or force this other person to change. So when you detach with love, it's not that you don't care or that you're not interested. You let the person know that you love him, that you care about her, that you're worried. You allow that person to deal with the consequences of their choices. You allow that person the right to make their own choices, but you make choices that affect you. That is detaching with love. Then the next one is setting boundaries. And a boundary is simply what you'll do and what you won't do. And there's a whole lot of things that you have to figure out when you're dealing with somebody who uses substances and abuses them. Boundaries are for you. They're not about controlling the other person. It's for you to manage your choices and to figure out how you're going to interact with that person. So here's the first one. Do you buy the alcohol? Do you buy the drugs? Some people will say, well, I'd rather have this person smoking or drinking in the home than out at a bar and potentially driving. Okay, but if you buy the alcohol and drugs, you are enabling. You're providing the person with the means to continue the addiction. If you drink with them, some people will say, well, I'll go to the bars and drink with them so that I can monitor it and make sure that they come home safely. The only thing that this does is make you a drinker too. So do you pour out the alcohol? Do you throw out the drugs? Many people say, I find the alcohol in the trash, it goes. That's fine, but if it's your money that's being used to pay for it, you're just going to end up having more money out of your budget go towards replacing the alcohol and the drugs. Now, there is an exception with illegal drugs in your car. That's dangerous. You don't want to have that. You don't have to have illegal substances in your home, so you can get rid of those. You can get rid of alcohol if you have a minor child drinking at home. You can throw it away, refuse to have it there. All of those things are choices. There's no black and white, like you must do this in this situation. But just remember, what is your motive in throwing it out? Is it so the person doesn't have it? Is it so the person has to spend more money? Is it going to be your money? Think about why you're doing it. Do you take the car keys? Oh, this is a really tough dilemma. If you take the car keys, you're preventing that person from driving. You could be saving that person's life, keeping them from getting a DUI, or maybe saving somebody else's life. Now, guaranteed, do not get in the car with somebody who's under the influence. Do not allow your children to drive in the car with someone who's under the influence. If this person insists on driving after they've been using or drinking, you can just say, I'm not driving with you. I will get myself another way of home. I can call Uber or Lyft, or I'll take my own car, or I'll call a friend. You never have to put yourself into danger, nor do you ever allow your children to be put into danger. Now, if you can take the keys from somebody who's really intoxicated or high, go ahead. But if you're going to have this huge fight and you could possibly get hurt, then you might want to think twice about that. Do you count and mark the bottles, the pills? You know, Al-Anon talks about being so overly focused on the alcoholic that every time a can opens, a beer can, you start counting them in your head. You're just obsessed with what that person is doing. Well, that's one reason why we don't want to count the number of drinks or mark the bottles or search for the bags of pot and look for exactly what's there. We need to know the truth, what's going on, that this person is using or this person is drinking, because that affects us, that infringes on our lives. So we have to know when somebody's doing something destructive in a relationship, but then we don't have to monitor it and control it. So if your loved one gets a DUI, do you step in and drive that person around when the person is prohibited from driving? You can do anything you want, but you want to make sure that you are not negating the consequences of that person's actions and making it easy for them. You want to make sure that you are not hurting yourself, like losing hours at your job, getting in trouble at your work, putting yourself under undue stress, having to get yourself up 2 hours earlier every single day, exhausting yourself. The consequences of the DUI are not for you to bear. The consequences of the DUI are for the user or the drinker to bear, so that hopefully a lesson will be learned. So keep that in mind when you're deciding how much adjustment you need to make. Same thing, will you bail that person out of jail? None of us like to have our loved ones sit in jail. If you have a young child, it can be considerably fearful to think that maybe your young adult son might be subjected to a jail environment. But you want to be really careful that you just don't run down there and bail somebody out who really desperately needs to face the consequences of actions that need to change. If you prevent that person from experiencing those consequences, it could very well be that will make it easier for that person to continue and use, and down the road something even worse could happen. So allow this child to experience the pain of being in jail, whether it's 24 hours or whether it's a weekend or whether it's a week, whatever that is. Don't just instantly run out, be down there the minute the phone rings, grab the attorney, pay for it out of your savings, get a separate job to pay for the attorney, and do everything you can to bail your kid out. That isn't going to be in your child's best interest. Now, what about using substances in your home? Well, obviously, it's a little bit tough to tell a spouse, you're not allowed to drink in the home, although that can be a boundary. But you put it this way, I'm not willing to be in the house with you while you're drinking. And that would be probably because there's a mood change and the person becomes argumentative or violent, mean to the kids, or you don't want the kids to see it. Something like that's going on. Children that are teenagers below age definitely don't have a right to drink and do drugs or smoke pot at your house. Marijuana is now legal, unfortunately, in a few states, mine included. And so that makes it even harder for parents to draw that firm line with no marijuana use. But I still tell them, if it's your home, you can determine what you allow in your home. If pot bothers you and it bothers me, you can say, no pot smoking in my home. If you want to go smoke pot, get your own home. Go pay your own bills. I won't control you. So you still have that right in your home to decide what even adult children are allowed to do. Next one is, what do you do about getting your loved one help? Well, we do a number of things with people that have addictions. Sometimes families do what's called a intervention, where everybody in the family takes the time at one time to sit down and tell this person what they see, what they're worried about, what they're fearing, and then that they want this person to get help. And if the person does, they will support the person this way. And if the person does not get help, then these are the boundaries that they're drawing and the consequences of that. It might be that, I'm not going to be able to, I can't watch you continue to destroy yourself. I'm not willing for you to call me to, talk to you when you're sad and high or drunk in the middle of the night. So interventions are one way. Another way is to help your loved one find a program, look into it, drive your loved one to a psychiatrist to get help, or go to the first AA meeting with that person, or possibly find an addiction specialist, or maybe it's to get insurance so that your child, when they're ready, will have that insurance. These are all options of things that you can do. Just know, though, that if you are the one that is pushing the program, getting the program, setting up the program, and threatening or bribing your child into it, it's very likely that it's not going to work, because an addict has to want it for himself in order to benefit from it. So do you pay the bills and offer financial support? Well, you never want to give an addict cash, ever. Because what is it probably going to go toward? It's going to go toward drugs and alcohol. So if you are going to help, you want to make the car payment directly, you want to pay the insurance bill directly, pay for the insurance directly, pay for the psychiatrist, pay for the counselor, pay for the dentist to do that dental work, make that school tuition payment. You're going to do directly what you want to do, rather than go through the person who has a choice of not putting the money on that. And then the question is it the right thing? Because at some point, if that addict doesn't experience the ultimate results of the choices to continue to be irresponsible and use, then, it may last longer. So each thing you think about why, and think about if it's the right thing, and if it's going to bring that person toward wanting to get better and get sober. The next one is, do you call your loved one an addict or an alcoholic? A lot of people will say, you can't decide that somebody's an alcoholic. You can't decide if somebody's an addict. You can just say, I have a problem with this person's use or this person's drinking. So, I abide by that most of the time, to where it doesn't matter, though. If somebody has a problem with alcohol or drugs and it's affecting you, then it's a problem for you. Whether it crosses that line from a problem drinker or a problem drug user to an addict or an alcoholic is really for the person to deal with. That has to do with how hard is it to stop. And that is an individual situation. So you've got a problem with someone that you love who drinks and someone that you love who uses. That's all that matters. That's enough for you to go get help for yourself. Now, these difficult dilemmas that we're talking about here, where you've got to make decisions, they're not easy. And, for me, it took a lot of years of going to a support group, Al-Anon, to figure out how to implement those principles and how to make those decisions to where I can be involved with somebody who's drinking or using or mentally ill, or doing something that's very destructive that just breaks my heart and causes me to worry. But at the same time, I can maintain a happy, fulfilled life where I move on with my life and detach with love and offer the support that is helpful but not enabling. And I don't allow that to become the focus of my life to where I stop living my life. That is what putting these principles into practice will get you. It takes time to learn them. 12-step groups are for families of addicts, and families of alcoholics are really great for helping with that. My materials are good for that. I've got books that give you 10 relationship changing principles. One of them is detach with love, set boundaries, take care of yourself, know that you can't change the other person. All of these are very powerful principles that you need to learn to put into practice. So all of that is available for you. It will help you as it has helped me over time. And hopefully going through some of these dilemmas kind of gives you a framework of some of the decisions that you have a right to make in your own life as far as your relationship with somebody who drinks or uses. So thank you very much for watching this video on Change My Relationship. I hope you'll be able to come back and watch more. Thank you.